So one of my friends reached out to me recently, and we had one of those really long, like 2-hour conversations about productivity. They wanted some advice, and of course I had a lot to say. I've used a lot of productivity systems, and I've looked everywhere just to find out new ways to do things. And at the end of that 2-hour like Discord conversation, I thought, you know what, let's take all that and condense it, hopefully into something less than 10 minutes, and go over my 3 tips to just be more productive. I feel like one of the things we should talk about first is why be productive? What's the point of this? And I feel like one of the misunderstandings is looking at productivity as wanting to get more done. And I think that that's a little bit of a short sight, primarily because there's always going to be more things to do. Life will always get in the way, and something will always pop up. There will always be more things to do. To me, productivity is taking care of what matters the most first. The most important things, the things that are the most urgent, the most important, the scariest. But we'll get there. As I told you, today I have 3 tips. I have actually an extra one, just tip 0. And I'm just gonna slide it in here. It might not be viable for most people, but I just have to say it because it's what worked for me. And tip 0 is, without question, wake up early. Just wake up early. And we can go into tons of reasons, you know, some scientific, some not, about why our brains are wired this way. But really, my favorite example, the quickest one I can bring out, is how when daylight savings time shows up and suddenly days are way shorter, they really actually feel like they're shorter. And when daylight time savings shows up again, or when time resets, the days feel so much longer because there's more daylight. Our brains are wired like that. And I find that just waking up early makes me feel like I have more time to get stuff done. And back when I used to sleep in every single day, I always felt like I was in a hurry. So, tip 0 right there, wake up early. It sucks, it's hard, I know, but I just want to leave that out there. It might not even be viable for some people, and that's okay. I just want to slide that in there. Now, with that said, let's take it from the top. The first step of my day is to look over all the things I want to do that day. I have to-do lists, I use a bullet journal, but you don't need those things. You can just quite literally sit down at the desk and think to yourself the things you want to get done that particular day. My first tip is immediately linked to this particular moment. We can make an entire, enormous to-do list of all the things we want to get done that day, but you have to plan realistically. Time is a limited resource, and you have to plan it realistically. You can't, if you have 2 hours to get whatever you need to do done, you probably shouldn't allocate exactly 2 hours of work. Because you're a human being, and because something will probably get in the way, something will come up. You might get a call, something might happen, you might get an alert. Next thing you know, you forgot about that other thing you were supposed to be doing, and suddenly 2 hours of exact work no longer seems to work. So always round up and plan realistically. I know that it sucks to look at your time and actually realize that it is truly finite and limited, but you have to be realistic about it. Now, I've talked about this in the past before, but what do I mean by allocating? Allocating is kind of the term that I use for distributing tasks to the time you have available, and I'm finally gonna cover this in detail. My approach to productivity is very simple and straightforward. The biggest, scariest, most dauntingest task gets done first. Again, the biggest, scariest, hardest task gets done first. As soon as you're finished planning, you start working on that. Why do I tackle things that way? Because I'm a professional procrastinator. Because I know that if there's a big, scary task and I don't get it done first, I'm gonna push it back and hold it off and put it away and schedule it for next week and the next week. And next thing you know, one of your friends gave you a manuscript to give feedback on, and it's been a month and you haven't touched it and you're feeling really bad, and the next thing you know, the task that was already pretty big to begin with is now even scarier. Take care of the hardest thing first. That doesn't mean write the whole novel in one day. That means working on that part of the novel you're gonna work on and getting it done first. My favorite way to allocate tasks, or just to break down the way that I'm gonna be tackling things for the day, looks a little bit like this. Imagine a rectangle that represents your time. You could also see this as a kind of measurement of importance. In this bar that represents, you know, the time and importance, half of it is just one task. We're gonna call it task priority 1. And then we're gonna break off the other little chunk. We're gonna break it off into thirds. The first one is task 2, the second one is task priority 3, and then that very last little chunk gets split into task priority 4 and task priority 5. The most you're ever going to get done in one day is 5 things. There are countless productivity systems, there are tons of them, but I think, at least to me, what's been the most effective are systems like this one, that help you visualize what you're going to get done, and instead of getting an entire to-do list of things done, 5 things. 5 things. Just 5 things. Something really big and scary, which would take about half of your day. 2 moderately sized things, and then 2 other little things. Sometimes you don't even have times for the little things, and that's okay. Why? Because you started your day with the big scary thing, and you got it done, and it's out of the way. And even if you only finished one of the 2 medium-sized projects, it's fine, because you did the big scary thing and a little extra. Beginning your day with the biggest, scariest task is very satisfying, because no matter what happens after that point in the day, you already know inside of you that you got something really big done, and everything from there on feels like extra. That's, by the way, number 2. Begin with the biggest, scariest thing first. And I want to add on right now that sometimes the big scary thing is not a big, time-consuming task. It's not like spending 2 hours writing. It can actually just be making that phone call. The thing that troubles you the most, the thing that you, given the opportunity to, would procrastinate, finishing your resume, submitting an application, calling your mom, whatever it is that is the scariest thing, even if it's not what takes half of your workday, just get it out. Just take care of it. Get that bugging feeling out of your head, because I don't know about you, but spending my whole day dreading, or forget the day, spending days, weeks, months dreading that one thing that's going to happen, that you really must do, but you're scared to do, that's just torture right there. So just get it done. Get it done first, and move on, not only with the rest of your day, but really the rest of your life. What's the third thing? And this, of course, is the hardest thing, because you can spend your whole life using productivity programs, you can spend hours planning what you want to do, but what matters the most is to just do it. To start. Take that scary task and work on it until completion, and then see what else you can get done. A couple medium tasks, or just a bunch of little ones, it's okay. But to do that, you actually have to start. Because it's not just planning and looking at your time and staring at that ugly, ugly, scary thing you must do. It's also actually doing it. And I know that someone out there might get a little reductive and just look at the little chart form thing I had and be like, getting 5 things done a day, that's not that big of a deal. And I don't know, I feel like I have to clarify sometimes that, like, it's not about getting a lot of things done. It's about being consistent with getting things done. Just like writing a book. You're not gonna write a book overnight. You're not gonna write a book overnight. Don't even think you're going to. It doesn't happen that way. Even things like National Novel Writing Month are ultimately about making that habit and consistently doing the task day by day. And being productive is not a destination. You're not gonna suddenly one day realize that you have gotten everything done and there is nothing for you to do. It's a journey. It's a way we do things. And for me, the most effective thing is by getting the scariest task of the day done first. And I know because I know that feeling in my chest, probably the feeling you're feeling right now, where you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, that thing is scary. Ignore that feeling and do that thing. That's how I know what task I must do first that day. Because it's always the one that gives me that sensation right here in the center of my stomach. I hope this was insightful, and I hope that if anything I gave you another point of view. My name is Max, also known as MKaren, and I do these writing advice videos twice a week on YouTube. If you have a question you would like me to answer in a future video, or an idea for a topic you would like me to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. Also, I want to let you know that this video is here thanks in part to my patrons. Patreon.com/mkaren is the #1 place to go if you want to support me and what I do, and get cool perks along the way. By pledging as little as $1 a month, you can watch my videos a week before they go live on YouTube, and appear on the end screen of my videos. Which reminds me, I would like to give a big formal shout out to A. Howard, Amelia, Angela, Brenda, Harriet Holman, Irina Phoenix, Joe, Luki, Mark Maruska, Pat Eichenson, Rain Misoa, and Soul Muse. Hey there, everybody. I want to let you know, in case you're wondering, these videos were the big scary task of the day. I always like to get my videos done first. And by the way, I meant it, you know? I know it doesn't seem like a lot because our brains love big, huge numbers, but getting that big, scary thing done every day will make your life so much easier. Because you're not going to be worrying about those things. You're going to have all this extra mental energy to think about not only the scary things you must do, but the things you want to do. The places you want to go to. The things you want to create. And I think right there, that's priceless.